All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, Lauren seems to be stuck in the waiting room, but maybe she's joining. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So welcome to our second to last Google Club of the fiscal year. The session today is on something that Google has put together called Google Arts and Culture. Have any of you used Google Arts and Culture or familiar with it in any way? Anyone want to just raise their hand or speak, unmute and tell us their experience? It's new to me, relatively new to me, but it's been around for a while. So maybe some of you have played around with it. All right, shy folks, we'll keep going. Maybe you've never seen it. That's exciting. It'll be a new thing for everyone here today. So our objectives are for you to be familiar with the Google Arts and Culture website. There's a lot of content there. So familiar here means you know it exists and you can find at least one or two things that you really like there. And maybe you're going to be going back and exploring it. It is also something that you can use as an app on your phone. And I have to say, I think the app is almost more, I mean, for personal learning, it would be a more useful tool than the website, but the website is very useful. It can have some uses, I think, for you as a teacher in a classroom. And then we're gonna do a kind of a quick review of it, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some ideas that you maybe have for how it could be used in teaching. Maybe you're going to see things that resonate immediately for you, or lessons that you've already done that could use this kind of content added in. And we'll look at Google Applied Digital Skills has a couple of different lesson ideas, so we can look at some of those as well. A reminder that our last session, which is on June 26th, is our show and tell session. And we've always wanted Google Club to be more of you guys talking. And I know I end up taking up a lot of the space. So at the very least, at our show and tell session at the end, that is all yours. And we're just looking for short or long little presentations from you guys about how you've been using Google either in your own life or in your teaching, particularly in teaching, because I think that's helpful for everyone else who's attending. Last year, I know I had to kind of go send emails to some specific people, and I will still do that. But be brave and think about the way that it's worked for you or hasn't worked for you. I think we learn from things that don't work as well. And it's anything that you're doing with Google, because this is just a way for us to think about how we're using Google in our teaching. So I will send that link out again, but it is here. That's a live link. But I'll send it out when I send everything out tomorrow or Friday regarding this session. We do, as I said, this is the last session. It will be the 26th, our usual time, 4 to 5:30. Here's the registration link. And a reminder that we've been throughout the last, I guess, 6 months, we've really been doing it this year. We've included this time around a set of micro-credentials, which we're calling them micro-credentials or digital badges. This is the full syllabus, but we have one for today, which is to create a lesson plan that incorporates and integrates elements from Google Arts and Culture into a lesson, either a whole new lesson or a lesson you already do. And if you click on that link, you'll see the description of there'll be a suggested lesson plan to fill out. And then this is due on the 24th, so that's not very long from now. These are all the credentials we've had throughout the cycle, and you still have the opportunity to pick any 3 of these and submit them by the 24th for part of a portfolio assignment. So we thought by having these projects due every month, it helps some people maybe self-disclosure, I work to a deadline. So if you tell me that I can make a slideshow and submit it by a certain date, I'm much more likely to do it than if it's just flopping around in the air. So we gave you deadlines every month for these, but we also recognize that life gets in the way and everyone here is very, very busy. So if you couldn't really participate during the full year or the full 6 months, you can still participate by going back to those assignments and picking 3, and they're not too hard, I think, and they're very explicit in what is expected in each assignment. And you have the recordings on the Google Club blog in case you want to be reminded of what we covered in each session. So the assignments are very much related to whatever happened in the session before them. So you still have that opportunity. So between now and the 24th, if you want to pick any 3 of these, you do your best work, put them into a Google folder, share the link to that folder. It's not here, but I will share that link when I send it out again. There's a link. It's the same link for all of the assignments. It's a Google form, and you put your name and your email address and the link to your project. So in this case, to your portfolio. And if you have any questions or doubts or concerns, feel free to reach out to me and Cynthia, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. But that was, so we've had the monthly badges, and now we have a portfolio, which will also lead to a badge. Okay, any questions on that or any thoughts? I don't know, not many of you have taken advantage of those projects, and we're going to be doing some surveying between now and the next meeting to really get some input from you guys so we can plan for next year. And one of those questions will be, you know, what would have made this something that you would be more likely to participate in? So consider that as you think through when you have free time next time before next time. Okay, so Google Arts and Culture. Google Arts and Culture is a website. How do you think we get to Google Arts and Culture? What are you going to guess could be the URL for Google Arts and Culture? Thinking about all of the ways we've talked about how you can get to a new Google Doc or a new Google Sheet. What could it be?
www.googleartsandculture. I don't know.
So
I guess.
very close, but if I asked you right now to open up a new Google Doc and you weren't going to do it through the
I'd go to a waffle and cheat her.
right. No, that's not cheating. That's a very good way to get there. If you have a waffle, not everyone has a waffle. So this is the way you can get there. If you don't have the waffle and you don't have your Google, in this case, you wouldn't have Drive open either. So does anyone else remember? Yeah, Sean.
artsandculture.google.com.
Yes, exactly. So when you have all these other ways to do it, absolutely. But this is one thing that seems to work for almost all the tools, right? If you want to get to Gmail, it's mail.google.com. If you want to get to a new doc, you want to get to Drive, drive.google.com. So just remember that, because it's kind of cool that it seems to always be true. And if you don't have to just Google it, then you can Google it, it's fine. But we're always looking for more efficient ways to get places. So thank you, Sean, exactly. So when you get to the website, you can explore it without logging in, but if you're using your Chrome and you're already logged in like I was, you're going to see your little face up in the right corner, and you're going to see the little hamburger on the left corner that's going to show you the menu. And honestly, this website is out of control, too much stuff. So we're going to look at some elements today, but it will be, if this feels like something that's interesting to you, you're definitely going to need to explore it on your own, because there's no way to look at it all together with us today. But when we look at that hamburger, we get, oh, is it going to do it for me? Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to do a little notice and wonder. So when you click on the hamburger, you get a long list of why isn't my thing progressing? Let's see here. There we go. You get a long menu, right? Those 3 lines, we call them a hamburger. They often show you a menu. And these are all the elements in the menu. So do a little looking through here, everything on the screen, and tell me some of the things that you notice or wonder about without even being on the website. What are some things that you can tell from here, or that you wonder about from here? And I'll show you a little. So one of the things that I did notice, and I've already done this with you guys, is that this is the website down here, right? So this is the artsandculture.google.com. So I noticed that it uses the same basic principle that almost all the Google tools seem to. I also notice achievements, which I'm wondering what that means. Like, is there a way to track my work on this website, or what will that look like?
I wondered that too now because I'm overly competitive as a person. And I saw the trophy and I'm like, ooh, do I get to earn stuff? Do I get to be competitive against myself? Are there badges or challenges that I can accept and like pursue? So I wondered, like, what do I win if I click on that button?
Absolutely. And they're very smart putting the little cup there, because we immediately had that sense, right? That there's something gamified here, something maybe, so we'll click on that in a minute, but let's keep looking at these things. Are there any other elements here that you kind of want to go click on and you have an idea of what you think you'll see when you get there? Or you wonder what you'll see when you get
Places might be Google Map, what is it? Google World? Is that what is it? Is that what it's
there?
called?
I think there is a Google World, Google Earth.
Google Earth, that's what I
Yeah,
meant to say.
yeah. So places, and you saw places in that middle section, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It definitely has that little icon that we associate with Google Maps. So that's a really interesting idea. And I notice that same symbol over here with nearby. I
Oh,
wonder what that's going to mean, what it could tell me about nearby.
I noticed some other familiar Google icons, like the picture little thingy that says mediums. I know that that means like media or images. And then the same thing with, like, I noticed the little clock thingy that always makes me feel like there's some kind of history happening. And then, of course, the wheel looking thingy. What do you call that? Not wheel. Oh,
The
gadget.
over here?
Yes, yes. What's the word?
Yeah, gear.
Gear. Thank you. The gear
Yeah.
thingy wingy
Yeah.
settings.
Louise, were you going to say something? Nope.
no, I just said gear. And then
Oh,
I
you
noticed
did. Thank you.
I noticed my mic was still on, so I turned.
Where else have we seen the concept of themes? I don't know that it's going to be the same here, but what other Google tools do we talk about themes? Does anyone remember?
Is that in design
It's
stuff?
slides.
In slides? So designing
Good.
slides, there's a section where you can change the theme yourself. So
Right.
that's the layout, right? And there's another
Mhm.
tool a bit like slides. I think we did it last time. It's also the word they use when you're making a website. So basically, in other areas at least, themes has come to mean sort of the font and the colors and the basic layout of materials. Here, I'm wondering if it's more within the Google Arts and Culture idea, but it's still a word I recognize. And what kinds of experiments could there be? Like, that's very interesting to me. I want to know what's going to happen when I get to my experiments.
Would that be using AI?
I think they definitely are going to do some stuff with AI. That's a really good one. And actually, you'll see it's something that is easier to do. I don't even know if you can do it on the regular website, but they do have this cool game where you can use your selfie and then use an art type or a painting and get yourself to look like that. So I have an example of that. You might see it later on in the slides. All right, so we're going to move along, but I wanted you to kind of really pay attention to this, because when you're on the page itself, it's almost overwhelming because there's so much going on. And ultimately, this is one of the basic ways of moving through the website, right? So there's tabs across the top, which is pretty typical. And then there's this really long menu on the side. And in some ways, those are maybe helpful tool. They're the way to kind of begin. But you certainly can just go in and today we can just really look at the homepage, and you'll see that there's so much on the homepage alone that it gets a little overwhelming. I'm going to just check the chat for a second. I see Cynthia answered the question about themes right there. Fantastic. All right, we'll move on. So Yes, this is what you see when you go to the activities section, achievement section. So that gold cup or the cup outline, and we'll just go out and look at the website in a moment. But these are everything you do on there. You'll have a little pop-up window that says that you now just got the art collector badge or whatever. So it is a very badge centric website, and it will in both you can just go in and explore and you'll see these badges popping up and you'll accidentally get one that you didn't even know was one. But once you know it's there, you might come in and be like, oh, I wonder how I get that one. And so you'll have to figure that out. So I'm gonna actually get out of this view. Maybe. There we go. So in the slides, I take you through these sections. These are the tabs across the top, but we're just going to do that live now. This is what I was talking about earlier. So you take a selfie, you say, make it look like Renoir's boating party, and look what happened. That's the new me. So again, there's a little bit of writing about Renoir's boating party. And so the idea, I think, is, you know, if you're bored waiting for the bus or whatever, you can pull out this app and play around in it, and you'll learn about art at the same time as doing kind of fun things. So that is definitely part of the mode, I think, with how this tool works. So, and you'll see at the end, I put quite a few resources because it's actually been kind of tricky to find examples of people using this in instruction. And I think it's partially because it's changed over time. So I did watch some videos and I played around with some things and they don't seem to exist anymore. There seemed to be a function where you could make your own gallery, and now I can see where I can favorite my favorite paintings and whatever, but I can't see how to make a gallery. So things have changed, but these are all the top 3, these are mostly from Google themselves. So there's not a lot of other people doing stuff yet. It's interesting to me, but so this is going to be really a very big opportunity for you guys just to think a little bit about how this could be something that's valuable in your instruction. All right, let's just go out and look at it. Let me find the right one. So we'll just go to the home. So artsandculture.google.com. This is what you get when you arrive. You have those tabs across the top: home, explore, play, nearby, and favorites. And then that hamburger gives us this long menu, and you can see some things are overlapped, right? So nearby is in both of these places. In fact, these 4 elements are up here, and then they keep achievements here. So explore takes us to categories of art, timelines, color, themes, collections. There's a highlight, their popular topic, like just endless amounts of content here. If we go to play, there are some fun games. So we were talking about AI. This game, it'll show you a set of images and you have to guess which one is AI. And I was doing a workshop on using AI the other day, and someone in the session said how one of their concerns around AI is that people won't know if something is AI or not. And I think that's definitely true. And I think the more advanced we get, the more complicated that will be. But this is sort of an interesting game with that in mind, because you do begin to see some telltales, which is sort of an interesting idea. So that kind of a fun game for media literacy and thinking about AI and how we tell if an image is AI or not, and can we? But there's music here. There are jigsaw puzzles. So you can pick a painting and it'll make it into a jigsaw puzzle, and then you have to move things around. And what I'll say, you can do that with more than one person. So it could be something that you do together, but it also really, as you're putting it together, you really begin to examine the piece of art, because you have to kind of, figure out where the other eye is and whatever. So it's a really interesting way to kind of get a little more in depth in noticing things about a piece of a painting or a piece of art. This Forever Labyrinth looks really amazing, but it's long, so I didn't get very far into it. I'll just click on it right now to show you. So it's a mystery. And you'll enter, and it's a bit like when we were doing, I don't know that we did very much with it, but like the Escape the Room or even a Hyperdoc where everything is inside the space. So I have to hold to continue. So something's happening to the painting. Oh, I think it's because I started this the other day. So there was a note over here that I started reading, and now there's something weird happening to the painting, and I click on it, and this pops up. Right. So I didn't get much further than this, and I don't quite know how I would use it in instruction, but I'm really intrigued by using this as an idea, even if it's something that I then take and make my own using slides. But it could be an interesting game, and it could certainly be something that learners could do, and then there could be a lot of discussion about what they experienced there. So I think it's an interesting tool in that way. And I'm going to exit the game and go back one more. But there are a lot of other games. So as you scroll down, you might find something that fits exactly what you're looking for. And again, this is very mobile friendly. So you can certainly see it on a computer screen, but on the phone, it's even easier to kind of move through. And I actually found it more user friendly on the phone than I do on the website. The website just makes things seem like there's too much. So this is that idea where you take selfies, but you could have a gallery in your pocket and look at art while, like I said, while you're waiting for the subway. You could pick out several paintings and share your favorites with other people, and then that could be a conversation that could come back to class. Augmented reality, let's just click on that. I don't know it's going to work because I'm using my camera here. I think it's best to do this on your phone. But what's the Big Bang brought to life? Right. Lots of things like that. So we have home, we have explore, we have play. Nearby actually is really interesting. And this is something that, I was thinking, I think most of you know, I grew up in Nebraska. And if I was in Nebraska and I was looking at this art, I probably would not have the ability to go and see it in a museum. In New York, I might be able to go see some of this in real life. So it might be interesting to start by examining art or getting to know a museum through this website, but then actually doing a field trip and going to the actual gallery. I know we've been doing a lot of work with Brooklyn Museum, and they've been doing a lot of workshops on how to bring art and museum life into adult education, but this feels like another resource in that area. And it really, I live in Queens, so it's showing me a lot of the different museums that are in Queens. So that's kind of a helpful thing. So again, if you imagine that a learner or you yourself, you're out, you want to go to a museum, you can open up the app, it'll tell you what museums are nearby. And some of them are less known. I honestly didn't know about a lot of these. So it could really lead to some new awareness of what is available nearby to you any moment of the day. And then favorites, this is what I was saying earlier. So as you go through and you find images that you like, you can heart them, and then they'll come into this view. And when I was looking for activities online, that was step one. And step two was that they used to be able to, you were able to then take subsets of this and put them into a gallery and basically create galleries that you could share. And I don't see how to do that anymore. So I don't think that that is available anymore. But you certainly, what would you say are the similar, what's the, what's something common about all these pictures? And Joan,
New York.
New York, exactly. Joan, go ahead. What was your question? Or
Yes, when you were talking, I said, "Oh, okay, let me go check this out." And I
that is,
went
can you just wait one,
on.
Joan? That is
Yeah.
exactly the attitude. Let's go check this out. Thank you so much. Yes, Joan. Continue.
So I went on, the first page, and I can't even remember. I scrolled down, and there was like a series of pictures, and they had one in the front, and it said the Maasai, and oh, you have it too. Okay.
So
I wondered if it's picking up information from my computer because I'm interested in going to Kenya. So I was like, oh, I wonder if it picked that
knows.
up.
Right.
But no, it's just something that they put there. Okay.
Yeah, I think this homepage is the same for everybody, but that is, you know, what you're saying is such a common thing, right? Like I said that I really like ice cream, and suddenly there's a lot of ads about ice cream. So, but yes, in this case, I think it is the same for everybody, and it will change. So if you find something like this that you really like, or that is really interesting for you, just remember you can heart it, and now it will stay in your favorites. But you can also send a link, or you could add it to, you know, you can share it with any way that you want to. You could even put it into Google Classroom. So there's a lot of ways, once you find content that you're interested in, to share it, or to curate it so that you can get back to it as well. Back to the home, right? So if we keep scrolling down, a lot of the content that you can get to these ways, you can also get to scrolling down, right? So the games are here. This is the find the AI generated image. Let's go ahead and play one. So you have 4 hearts, and let's see. Maybe my internet's slow. I will say some of the criticisms of the site are that it's very Eurocentric. I do think they've tried to work on that. So you'll see that they are including a wide variety of museums and exhibits, but it's still kind of Eurocentric. And that it has some glitches. Apparently, this was a project that came out of Google has a sort of internal cultural requirement that 20% of your time be used thinking up new possible ideas. And this came from that. And they have put money behind it, and they have expanded it, and they've added new things to it, but it's still a little glitchy. And one of the things I found was sometimes it hangs and you have to refresh. And then sometimes that does the job. We'll see. I don't know. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Find the AI generated lion. Which one do you think? I'm gonna say that one.
The third one.
Oh, the third one? Oh,
Oh, I'm so bad at this.
yay, the last one. Okay, so I lost 2 hearts, guys. Okay, ready for the next one. Find the AI generated microcontroller.
I feel like it's
I-
the first or the third one.
Oh,
No, I said the first or the third
oh.
one.
I'm done now. I played it the other day and I got most of them, but they were much more. So here it shows you again. So now you can review what you thought. So it doesn't tell us, does it tell us? Yeah, this is the generated image. So I don't know if I can tell. Maybe it's a terrible lesson to tell you that you actually can't tell. I don't know. Anyway, something to play. Let's go back. We'll scroll down. Okay, so stories you might have missed. So there's a new story every week, and then they're all captured here. Guess the artwork from piece, right? So this could be great if you've already been working on art or people have been looking at paintings. This is the story of the day. So this story will end up in this pile. So if you miss it on one day, you can still get back to it. And then because I like those other pictures, it's obviously giving me a lot more New York pictures. But my thought was, you know, again, for images, I collected those ones about New York because, yes, I thought that would be something we could have a conversation about. Maybe the learner could go and find a current day picture of one of those images or take their own photo, and we could talk about how things have changed. So I was particularly interested in the photography. Obviously, that's one small element of what they have available. A musical tour around the Cowboy Museum. I don't even know what that is. So there's some videos here. Sacred Spaces. Which site is this? Artists around the world. Yeah. So it is just, this is just the homepage, and you just can keep going down and down and down. So lots and lots and lots of content. Overwhelming. Luckily, there is a section on Google Arts and Culture learning. And in there, they have lesson plans and resources, and I've put this link in the resource page on our slides. So I suggest you click around and find what is interesting and useful for yourself, but I also think this can be a helpful way to think about things. So do a little bit of each. So they have broken it up into different topics. But again, you can scroll down and see what's here. And this is aimed at every level. So some of it's going to be maybe towards younger children. The idea of learning is both for parents with their children and then teachers with their learners. There are lesson plans. So these are, right, these are the lesson. This is the lesson plan section. The learn part, let me get to the learn. So you see the outer part. So we have the learn with Google, which is like this. And then from here, you can get to lesson plans. There's a guide to Google Arts and Culture, which I did look at. Yeah, it's kind of helpful. What I thought was interesting, I think I kept it up. Yeah, here it is. What I did find interesting, let me make this a little bit bigger, is that in every lesson or activity, they make sure they include this idea of find, analyze, and create. And I thought that was an interesting way to think about how you would move through art and culture, right? That you are finding something, that's a digital skill that we all need to practice, that you're analyzing it by talking out loud in this case, or writing about it, maybe doing some research, and then you're creating something that demonstrates what you learned, or some of the new information that you have from that experience. And I thought that was a nice, I liked that, seeing that. I would almost call it a routine. I don't know, Cynthia, would you call it a routine? But find, analyze, and create as a way of really being explicit, at least in our own thoughts, about what skills we want people to practice. And I think those are very important set of skills that are both necessary for digital work, but also just in general for learning and for participating in our world. So this document, I'll put this in our folder for today, but you can download it obviously from the website. It's again, I feel like my criticism so far would be there's too much. And so you kind of have to just decide that you're going to drill down into your particular area. You need to be a little familiar with it so that when you are developing a lesson sometime in the future, you have a memory that there might be something good on this website. But otherwise, I think it's very hard to kind of get to fully know what's going on here. Yay, Cynthia would say that is, yes. Excellent. I'm just checking out the chat for a second, but I'm glad you're all having your conversation. That's good. So back to the learn with, so pick a subject. So if we wanted to do history, we could talk about Black history. Then we get some images, and you can use a lot of these images yourself. So I didn't finish looking up how you can download them or whatever, but obviously you can link to them here. So if you find an image that Juneteenth is coming up, right? So maybe you want to talk a little bit about Juneteenth. Here's both images and content. So this is actually a very typical way this website works. It actually becomes kind of it's not slides, but it's kind of a presentation. So as you scroll down, it'll take you through images, and then there'll be some writing. And then as you get down to another piece, it might hone in on something specific. And then, so it's like I think that, and I'm wondering now if that's gone away. I don't know if you're all familiar with the Google, I don't think they're called goggles, but basically it's a way of doing immersive 3D imaging. And I think this used to be work really well with those. My memory now is that that's somehow been taken away, and I don't think any of us are really using them, so I didn't look into it for us. But I did buy them. There were cardboard ones you could get, and I bought them for my nieces, and it was amazing. I mean, you're looking into this cardboard you know, cereal box kind of thing. And then because you have your phone in there, you had this incredible immersive 3D experience. So again, I think that was a little something that was connected to this, but we're kind of getting a bit of a version of that as we move through this, and they swing us in, move us out, move on to other images. So you could certainly use this as a presentation. You could assign it and people could look at this themselves and then come back and say what they'd learned. Can anyone, do you have any other thoughts? I feel like I'm, again, talking a lot. Anybody else, any thoughts about what they're seeing here or anything that we've looked at so far?
Nell, I I wanted to explain to my students what Juneteenth is. So I found a quick like YouTube video about Juneteenth. They're intermediate level ESOL learners, and it was only a 3-minute video, and it was a PBS video on YouTube. So I wondered, does this link up to YouTube at all?
So they don't have videos that are outside of here. I mean, obviously they're, you know, YouTube is owned by Google and it's possible they do some linking up. But what I've seen so far is they keep it all here. You can share it to Google Classroom, but it's not going to be on YouTube. It's going to be at this website, at this link. So you would share that link with your students and then they could look at it themselves.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And I haven't tried this thing on my phone. I played more with the games on my phone, but like I said, I kind of felt like the app was I was more interested in playing with it. I'm looking at my phone right now while I'm talking to you, but I felt like it was sort of manageable. There's something about how big all of this is that I'm like, oh, it's too much. But I do think this is a very rich, you know, there's a lot of content here. And people could look at it at their own time, at their own leisure, and then come back and report back what they'd read or seen. Yeah, so there's a lot. We're only halfway through. They do a lot of these immersive views, as I was mentioning, that I think they worked with those little goggles, but you can, you know, see around a real space or an object. So you could go and look at the you know, we have the Empire State Building here, but you could actually, if you lived in Nebraska, you could look at the Statue of Liberty in a 3-dimensional way. So they have that included here. Anyway, you can see that. So these topics will change all the time as you find a topic that you like. I'm going to actually try and see if I can save this one. Yeah, so at the very beginning, I had that option of adding it to my favorites, or I could grab the link. So now when I go look at my favorites here, does it put them there? No, it does not put them there. So now I have to find out where my favorites went. Well, that's annoying. Okay, so we have to do some work. Oh, I see it below. There we go. So at the top, we have our images. At the bottom, we have stories. So both the Maasai and the Juneteenth one are sitting there. Yeah, Cynthia.
I have a wondering question, right? Like I noticed that you said that the stories change daily or, you know, periodically. And so I'm wondering, is this kind of like the same thing that happens in Instagram where like if you watch a reel or see a post that you forget to hit the like button on, and then when you try to go back, you can't find it? Is that like the same case here where if I look at this thing and I'm like, oh, this is great, and I forget to like it, tomorrow I'll never be able to find it again?
So there's definitely a danger of that in that I think there's so much content here that it'll be tricky, but I think the search is pretty rich. So if you were to click on that magnifying glass and type in Juneteenth, you would get that article. Oh, except spell it right next time, not the way I spelled it. And actually we can see some other stories related, right? So it might actually be useful to go look at topics that way. Also, I think on the side here, Yeah, I mean, I think your luck, the way that I can see finding stuff is definitely that using this search up here, but it would come up in some of these other categories. Let's look at collections. I think collections are more to do with art, and so at specific museums, right? Explore. Yeah, the highlight, it's a little ephemeral, but I do think that they keep everything. So I think you're going to come back here. So say we wanted to look up something like something that's not happening right now. So we could talk about Labor Day, right? I think we'll find all the previous things about Labor Day. And it will be more than just the stories. So you have themes here. We were talking about themes earlier, and I thought it might be an artistic theme, but it looks like it's actually a story theme. And then there are more stories down here. And a little pocket gallery. What's the pocket gallery like? I don't know why they're associating this with Labor Day, but so maybe their search is not so rich or drill downable. But I think if I was to think about how I would use the story of the day, certainly if I saw one I was really interested in, I would favorite it. But I would also feel like I don't, if I miss one, I can come back and I can search as long as I kind of vaguely remember what the topic was. I don't know if that helps, Cynthia. You're a smart, if not smarter at this stuff than I am. So
That was helpful. Thank you.
sure. Anybody else? Questions, comments, notices, wonderings? So you can look at places as well, and I think these will let you move around inside the place. So there's stories, there's art. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I know I've said that many times already. Art movements. Yeah, it really is. Again, I think if you get the app on your phone, and I do have the link to the two different apps in here, but you can find them. Just make sure you look for this logo because there are other things that pop up, but it's Google Arts and Culture, and it's this logo or this logo. And the apps are, I think if you get familiar with the content via the app, that might be the way that you'll become more familiar with it. Again, it has tabs across the top. Instead of that long menu, they have tabs across the top. The games are here. Yeah, stories are here. And there are these tabs across the bottom. So you have explore, play, and inspire, or the other way to kind of move around inside the site on the app. And like I said, I played my selfie game. I also have one where I'm in space. So there's fun versions of that. Google Applied Digital Skills does have a number of lessons that are specifically related to using Google Arts and Culture. So I don't know if all of you are familiar, but Applied Digital Skills is a huge collection, at this point over 200 at least, sort of applied lessons that use Google tools in an applied format. And it's an excessive, because it's such a huge, again, another really large collection. It's great when you can drill down into a particular topic or activity or content that you're interested in. And I shared the link directly to these, which are specifically about arts and culture. So we have a scavenger hunt in Italy, creating a brochure, Frito Kahlo, right? So if you want to start from there, that might be a helpful way for you to kind of get your head around a full lesson that incorporates arts and culture. I'm going to stop sharing and see if anyone has any questions. Yeah, so Joan's in there and Joan agrees. It is a lot. And thanks for sharing the Juneteenth video.
You're welcome. Somebody asked for it, so I
Yeah,
put it
no,
on
that's
there.
great. And hi, Margaret. I haven't seen you forever. It's good to see your face. Margaret Pemberton, I see you there. So having seen this, are there lessons that you already do where you incorporate art or culture or, you know, exploring where we live, lessons like that? Are those things that you're already doing?
Do a
Yes.
exercise for the ESOL students called Cultural Diversity Bingo.
Nice.
So I have 5 rows of 5 and 5 columns of 5, and each one has some kind of a cultural event. So maybe you say Juneteenth, and then you would have how many students have a Hispanic surname? How many students have ever been to 3 or more states in the United States? So you know, those kind of questions, and see if anybody can get a bingo.
Excellent.
Yeah, cool.
This would be a great resource to make up more than one of those pages. I have just the one.
Right,
So,
right.
and also maybe using AI to help me, I could probably generate 4 or 5 of those pretty quickly.
Fantastic. Margaret, were you going to say something?
No, I just wanted to say that I was muted before. It's so good to see you and feel the color of your voice. And thank you for opening up a can of butterflies for me, okay? Because I
Oh,
got some work to do. No, seriously. Thank you.
Well, this is a good one, I think, for the summer. If you get some time off, this is definitely one when you have some time to go play with. Anybody else? Any thoughts about or concerns? Like I said, you know, the things I've read about it, I mean, the biggest concern was around its sort of Eurocentric tendencies with the art, that it has more forward facing. There's definitely a lot of different artists involved and people from different cultures that are there, but it is a concern that once again we tend to see, you know, the main painters that maybe we are familiar with, and it's harder to find the ones we don't know so much about already.
Yeah, but they have a beautiful art collection though. I saw a beautiful portrait of a Brazilian farmer, a cafe
Exactly.
farmer. It was excellent. And the fact that you can put a sonnet with it or a haiku, whatever, I thought that was fascinating. It was really
No, and I
nice.
think that's the thing. I would say that you can find
Mhm.
amazing content there, but you have to kind
Mhm.
of know to look for it. But I love
Yeah,
your,
you have to look for it.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So the haiku thing was already there, I believe. That was one thing you could connect with the image.
Yeah, you can connect it. You can write your own. So that like the students could write their own as
I think
they
I did
would
see
like.
that at the bottom. Right.
Yeah, it was really nice, really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody else thoughts about how you could imagine using this?
I had like some ideas for like ESOL, but I could not think of anything for math. Like I was like, how could I do? I'm sure there's stuff there, but I would have to work a lot harder cognitively to figure that out. But when you were showing like the I think it was the labyrinth thing where like you're going through the room and seeing different things, I thought to myself that like I could see my language teacher doing an activity like that with me, right? So I'm not learning English, but I am learning a second language, and I could see my language teacher going through an activity like that with me. Like if we wanted to work on prepositions, you know, it's like she'd point at and I have to describe like the picture on the wall next to the couch underneath the plant, right? And so like that would be a really good way for me to have to practice
Preposition.
vocabulary, but connecting it to like something visual. So I could see like that being a really good way to work on vocabulary and not just like words, but like actually forming sentences as it relates to what's happening with the images. Or like if I want to do colors, right? Pick up an image, a picture, one of the artworks that has different colors and have to describe the colors and how they are connecting to the image, which I thought if like try to do that in my head, I'm like, that feels like it'd be really hard for me to do in another language.
I love that with the vocabulary piece. It's reminded me of a few different things. So they do this very funny thing where you can find art by color. Let's see if I can find it now. This I will say I think is almost the hardest part. It's like, wait, I saw a thing and now I don't know how to find it again. Oh, what did I see earlier? Yes, must have been here, right? So they have categories by, where was it? Oh, these are the 360 videos. So you can look at something. Let's see if this will give me. Oh, so there's a video right here. And look at that. It is in YouTube. So this is a good point. Going back to Joan's question, that some of this content will actually be in YouTube. The Juneteenth piece, which I think they would consider a story, I don't think is there, but there are actual videos that it looks like are going to be there. And I think this is going to show us all like a three-dimensional, we're going to get to see every part of this room. But that is not actually what I wanted to share. Let's see here. And we didn't look at the science piece because there's a lot of science here too. And I know in science, it's really great to be able to show objects that you're working on. The math thing's interesting. So I should tell everyone, Cynthia is our math specialist particularly. And so that's why she was saying that. I think one of the things when I was looking at the images that I put in my favorites, I did that by going and finding an artist. Let's go back one more. So I went to artists and I looked, it's, again, A through Z, all of them in a timeline. And the way their timeline works is that you can drag the timeline across. And this is one of the things I saw that it worked pretty well, but then every now and then it would kind of hang, and that's when I had to do the refresh. So you could, this is sort of an interesting idea too, right? Just to be aware of how the different artists are happening at the same time, because we don't tend to think about that. At least I haven't thought about that, right? That this kind of art, this artist was painting at the same time as this artist. And so I guess I was wondering if the timeline could be anything mathy, but I don't think so. It's more of a history thing, maybe social studies. But anyway, so what I did was I had gone to all, and then I went all the way down to photographer, she down at the bottom. So you have, this was not the same photographer I was using before, but this obviously is some very rich images, but like 106 images there. They're sorted by popularity, but you can sort them by time and I think color. So they do a lot with color as an idea. Oh, look, and I just got a new badge for being a color explorer. So this is what I mean when the little badges pop up. So then I could come in here and I could find my favorite images and I could save those by clicking on them. So here's another New York one, I think. And I could pick that one too. So now it's added to my favorites and I can see where it's from too. So yeah, the overwhelming piece, trying to figure out how to make it not overwhelming, I think is part of what we really need to work on, because it's very hard to get back to where you've been already. Liking things the minute you see something you like, I think is a good idea because you'll definitely get back to it, or making sure that you're saving it somewhere. So it looks like you can use these tools. I don't think you have anything else, but you could copy the link and save the link somewhere as well. If you're using Google Classroom, it would definitely work well with that.
And Nell, if I might add, I have to obviously do some exploring,
Yeah.
but you know, my my appetite has been titillated. The gentleman that mentioned about the cultural diversity and bingo, I think, but I was thinking as I was looking at what you were sharing about music and dance across cultures to see how I could use this platform to you know, elucidate that some.
Absolutely. And I just clicked on experiments and it took me to a different tab. So it opened up a second tab with a bunch of experiments in it. So that's a whole other thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, the music piece was interesting. Again, how do I get back to where I've been? I might just have to go. Let's see. I'm just gonna search music. We'll see what happens. I think it was on the home page, but all the way down the bottom. So we have some topics. We have Union Black, cultural that connects us. This is an interesting one, just having talked about culture, right?
Mhm.
So this is connecting all the cultures within Europe. Then we have another video. Yeah, I don't even know. Here's more music. Oh, good, we got bagpipes. So again, as I scroll down, this writing comes up. Oh,
Building your online business.
and there are ads. That's good to know too.
Building your online business.
Oh, it really wants
Set
to
up
do
your
that
store
now.
on a single integrated platform. Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform. Host them dynamic.
Okay, sorry about that. So there are ads in there. That's good to know too. That didn't start happening till just now though, so I don't know how much you have to do until you start to see those things. So just as a overview of the resources, there's the Learn with Google Arts and Culture. That was that first section where you can get to the lesson plans, but it has some other content around learning and teaching with Google Arts and Culture. And then there's the lesson plans. 5 ways to get the most from Google Arts and Culture, which is also from Google. I don't know that that was that amazing. How to use Google Arts and Culture. This was an interesting video that someone had put together for seniors. And so it will take you through some of the basics. And it's gentle and slow and nice and 20 minutes long. EdTech Books, I think I kept that link open. So EdTech Books does look at using Google with the SAMR model, which I don't know we've really talked about SAMR, but the idea of substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition, that technology, when people integrate technology into what they're doing in their teaching, it sometimes is just substituting what was done with paper before. The next step up is to maybe augment, so it's something a little more complex than was done with paper. And then modification and redefinition, we start to get radically different, something we couldn't possibly do in a non-digital way. And so then they break down looking at, so here they have a suggestion for math, right? So possible to compile statistics and analyze Google Arts and Culture in a data-driven way. There's science, there's English language, other, and then they had a list of other resources here. One thing I'll just warn you, like I said, I think there's been some updates and not everything, if it's more than a year old or even less than that, I don't know that everything that they'll talk about will be there, but it's still worth checking out. So they have quite a lot of information in there. And that link is in on the resources. So again, this is from an external online tools for teaching and learning. Which is this one right here. 15 history lesson ideas for Google Arts and Culture, and then Google Arts and Culture Wikipedia. And the reason I include the Wikipedia one is it actually is helpful in that, so first of all, Wikimedia has access to all of these museums, which is a lot of museums. So there's artifacts from all these museums in Wikimedia, but in Google, let me scroll down over here. In Google Arts and Culture, this is the list of all the museums that are part of Google Arts and Culture. So this is kind of a helpful list because it was a little hard to find this inside the actual website. So again, it gives you a sense of some of the things that are there. It might be a little easier to digest. And this is where they talk about the criticisms and the different versions. Anyway, so you have all of that inside the slides. Any questions or things that you want to surface about all of this today? We also were going to do other bells and whistles, and I'm not going to do a lot of bells and whistles. The other one that I was going to show you is this thing called Quick Draw with Google.com. And I don't know, it's an interesting tool. So the idea is that you're actually helping, you're helping AI to learn. But basically you get a let's draw. Okay, now I have to draw a raccoon under 20 seconds. Okay, so got it. So I'm going to do.
I see zigzag, or crown, or bat,
This is not very.
or black cat,
Okay, so I'm going to give him
or
a tail.
rhinoceros. I see cat. I'm stumped.
Oh, didn't get it.
I'm stumped.
Oh, well.
Sorry, I couldn't guess it.
Okay, ladder should be easier. So let's try ladder.
I see Nate. Or prison. Oh, I know, it's ladder.
Woo! Now I get to do suitcase.
I see shoe. Oh, I know, it's suitcase. I see stairs. Oh, I know, it's snake.
Anyway, I'll stop there. Well, no, I'll do 6. Why not? Let's do, this was a cell phone. Is that what it was supposed to be?
I see water.
Oops.
Or cup. Oh, I know, it's cell phone.
And we'll do a harp.
I see nail. Or ear. Or heart. Or banana. Or backpack. Oh, I know, it's harp.
Okay, well, to me, that's a fun one. What I will say, it is a hand, like you are using your mouse hand, so there is some coordination there. And I've always enjoyed those kinds of games like Pictionary or whatever. But anyway, so now you know that there's Quick Draw with
Yes.
Google.
And it's humbling, now. It's good for us to remain humble, right? That'll do
It
it.
is. I kind of want a t-shirt now with my raccoon on it because that's really good. I don't know why I didn't get that. When it could get snake from that or cell phone, whatever. Whatever. Certainly for honing your skills in the Pictionary area, this would be a good one because you get down to the nitty-gritty. Are there any other tips and tricks? So I don't know how many of you've seen, right? We saw that we used to have that little explore button in our Google Slides and Google Docs, and then the explore button went away. And now I'm seeing AI everywhere. Have you been seeing Gemini showing up in your searches and in your, Joan says
Yes.
Yes. Have you tried it out?
No, I'm anti-AI. I know it's supposed to make my life easier, but my husband's a writer. He has his own magazine
Yes.
with some other writers, and it's. Are you kidding?
Yes, it's very
That's how I feel.
invasion. I would agree. I hear that. Well, the one way I have used Gemini. Is anybody else? Any thoughts on Gemini? AI negative, AI positive, Gemini specific?
I'm a little on the fence. I mean, I feel like, is it Joan? I like the idea of being creative on my own. And I sort of feel like it feels like I'm cheating. But on the other hand, if I'm already creative and I can find some way to use it, like I have used it because I was lazy. I used it to take my idea of a lesson plan. I wanted to mosh like 3 lesson plans together to cover something. And I was like, what would I, if I had to turn this in right now, what would I do? And I put it together. And then I took it, what they gave me, and I edited that. Hi, Marika. And so I feel like if I can still be creative, yes, but I don't like the idea of somebody else being creative for me. And if I need it fast, then maybe, yes, I'll just give it to you. But for myself, I'd like to sit down and just flesh it out, on my own. I'm giving myself the work. Sorry.
Yeah, I just that I totally hear that. I like to make things as difficult for myself as possible, but also, oh, now I can't remember what I was going to say. You said something that sparked it for me.
About being
I don't know.
creative, maybe?
Being
Cheating, because I've definitely
creative.
had that feeling like that I was cheating, and then I kind of got over it. I was like, I'm going to use my time in a more useful way.
But if you started, like with Sean's idea, I like the idea of we have the base idea, and I want to create multiple boards, for bingo or something like that. They have normally on the computer, or other people might have a program, but your idea is so much better. So take what they have, she typed it up, whatever it is, and when I put it in Google Docs, I just deleted the parts I didn't want and added in what I wanted, So I thought it was still my start. But I had to have something in case anybody's listening to this. I had to have something turn in, and I just wanted to make sure that my ideas were represented and that it wasn't just completely AI generated, So I love having that original idea, like, where are you going to find diversity bingo, Sean? Nowhere, because it came from you with a little AI, so we can have 6 more
Right.
boards in 10 seconds.
Right.
I totally agree with Lauren, and I understand Joan's perspective too, but I felt like I was cheating, but I did it, and I was rationalizing that I did it because I was subbing for someone, so why not? And I used, it was a lesson on get used to, so I used AI, and some of it was good, some of it wasn't so good. I asked for videos with that lesson plan. I got these links, and then I tried all the links, and none of them worked. So interesting for YouTube links. They said, yes, this YouTube. And I knew that some of these people were official YouTube, I think it was one of them was Rachel's English or something. But when I went to the link, absolutely no link. Interesting. Anyway, so
I know what it was. It was training AI.
Mhm.
I kind of, we have these billionaires, probably trillionaires as we speak, having us doing the training of their AI for free. And that bugs me too. It's just my own values.
No, but that I think is a really important one, and I agree that AI is the biggest example we have right now where we're seeing how the data has been used. But I would also say, and my husband is very constantly noting places where we're giving data away, right? So I have probably about, I don't even know, 300 apps on my phone. He's got like 7. And a lot of that's because a lot of apps are taking your data. They're not using it for AI necessarily, but they're using it for their own marketing. So we've been giving data away for ages, and it's really good to be aware of it. It's hard not to give it away, and certainly a lot of the tools that are there to make things easier for us, they're free, but we're actually paying with our data that we're giving back to them.
And this is Google Club.
It is Google. It is Google. Everything. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It is true.
It's friggin' free.
There's a reason why it's free.
I used to use Adobe, but I
Yes.
had friends who could give me bootleg versions. But now that you have to rent it by the month, that's no longer available. And I'm not going to pay for it. I
And
mean,
even
I'll
they are
damned
stealing
if I'll
your
be
data.
paid.
Right.
And Google is friggin' free.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They get you by convenience. I mean, we'll sell our, we'll give everything away for convenience.
Yes.
And
so,
and
if
Joan,
you can't beat
you're
them,
absolutely
join them.
right, Joan.
And I have tons of stuff. I have tons of stuff on my Google Drive, and I'm like, and I've shared it with people. So once you share it, it's public domain. It doesn't matter if you only put like 5 people on the share. It's for the world. And when I learned that, I was just like horrified. I was horrified. But I'm getting off on a values
No, but I
discussion,
totally
and I'm
agree
sorry.
with you. However, look what I'm doing.
But using AI just as a launch pad for a lesson plan, I agree with Lauren, because then you can be creative. And there's a lot about a lesson plan that's incredibly tedious and boring. So you get the tedious part out of the way with the AI part, and then you
figure out what you're going to do.
Add parts.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's the thing with AI, right? So this idea that AI is going to take our jobs, it's like, no, you actually have to be very knowledgeable and specialized to be able to ask AI to create the thing that you really want in a way that is actually useful and meaningful. And that is one thing that I'm holding on to, right? That that I remember years ago, my boss was like, we should get an intern to do Twitter for us. And I was like, an intern cannot tweet about adult education tools because they don't know what they are. The tech is very, it really takes the kind of the person with the deep experience and knowledge who can then shape things. And teaching the AI within the AI. So this is one of the conversations, and I think Cynthia probably had to leave, but we've had this conversation internally about if you're using ChatGPT and you ask ChatGPT to create an introductory paragraph to something or whatever it is, and it's not.
Now, if I might add something,
Yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to. And I live. My head is where Joan's head is.
Yes.
Okay, and one eyebrow is way back here when it comes to AI. But I happened to be listening. This was about a week or two ago to some people who live in that world, and they're excited about that world. And one gentleman said something particularly interesting. He said, listen, I know people might be on the fence about AI and feel this kind of way, every which way. He said, I'm going to tell you right now, today is the dumbest AI will ever be.
Yeah.
And it just hit me in a special place where I said, well, guess what? I guess let me get on it. Let me explore. I have to do that. But when he said that, he just woke up something within me. And I felt like sharing that old movie, Snap Out of It. And yeah, so hence I'm here.
Fantastic. That's what led you to be here.
You know, I have to snap out of it. I
saying,
can't
yeah.
stand
So
it.
I think the key with all these things is that to be aware and to be familiar, and then you can decide if there's value or what your concerns are, because they are gonna be around. And I love that point about like this is the dumbest version. And
Yeah, it just hit me. Very plain, simple, no whole bunch of blah, blah, blah. He just gave me the real hobla hobla.
I did want to share one
know
other thing, which is this random bingo card popularity, because we've been talking about bingo today. And last time we were going to talk about sheets and forms, and we ended up really only talking about forms. So I'm just going to share this one, but I'll make sure this is in our folder. The way this works is you have your data here, which is your long list of terms. And then you can either have a bingo card that has a free square or one that is all filled in. And every time you change anything, so if I change that M to an N, did it work? And then I hit enter, it randomizes the bingo card. So you could print out 50 of these just by changing that to O and hit enter, and then you could do an L and hit enter. And so each one of these is using this terminology, so whatever the terms are, randomized. You will have some duplicates, and you can also play with the duplications by including in your data multiples, because I really like Joan Jett, so I was adding a little bit of Joan Jett there at the end. So Joan Jett shows up a little more. So this was actually one I did with my niece on her birthday. So these were all terms that had come up in our world. So there was some relationship. But I think if you were looking at Sean's idea where, it's cultural, these could be cultural terms, and then this would be populated with the cultural terms, and then you could just print them out and you get a bunch of random cards, but all with the same terminology. Okay, let's stop sharing. That would be another tips and tricks one, but I'll put that in our thing. All right, we are coming close to time. I'm going to go ahead and give you the evaluation link. I always appreciate getting your evaluations. What will also be happening, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm in the process of putting together a survey to learn a little bit more about what has worked, what hasn't worked, what you would like to see in the next fiscal year, because we'll start this up again, probably take a month or two off and then start up again maybe in September, October. So topics that you might be interested in, specific functions or ways to use a specific tool in a certain kind of lesson, like as specific as you want to be. You'll see when the survey comes, you'll have lots of opportunities. Day that we're meeting, times that we're meeting, all of this information from you guys to let us know if things are good or if you'd like them to be different. And we'll be doing the survey with all of the Google Club members, because we know some people can't make it because they cannot make Wednesdays between 4 and 5:30. So they might be the ones who vote against that, but we want to know what is working and what isn't working. But this evaluation is the one that we end up sharing with DYCD. And again, very, very helpful to get your feedback there. I feel like I had one other link. Yeah, I don't know. So is anyone thinking about sharing anything at our last session? So our last session is the show and tell. And I'm going to reach out to you individually, but if you are thinking about anything, go ahead and let us know. And actually, I can put the sign up link. So what it was last year, I think, Marika, you did one. Lauren, I don't know if you did, where you just did like a 5-minute presentation on, I think for you, it was how you use video, maybe? Or was it something else?
It was Padlet and Classroom and a combination of all of that, Quizlet and all of it.
Nice.
And the lesson and the thing lesson, the applied digital skills lesson.
Very nice. And Marika, was yours on making, you were
I think it
running-
might have been on the Jamboard, and I, had created a video to tell students how to do the homework using a Jamboard. I think, I'm not sure.
Yes, because I know you also did one, I know we had also talked about you were like the one person I know is pushed through to get folks to make their slides on their phones.
Yeah, that was tough. It was
Yeah.
tough because I took a long time to figure out how to do that, but I eventually did make a video how to do it too.
Yes, well, that might be a good one to share, but I will reach out to you. So we're looking for 4 or 5 people to share what they've been doing. Don't think anything you're doing is not worth hearing about, because my challenge is always I don't meet with students, right? So I have thoughts, I have ideas, and I'm showing you the kind of nuts and bolts, but you're the ones who then take it or practice with it in the real world. So it's really helpful to get that information. All right, well, I'm going to say we're done unless people have questions or any other comments. We're actually.
I have a question.
Yes, Lauren.
Sorry, so I have not been able to come, but like to try the lesson.
Yes.
If I tried one of the lessons, because I would really need a little start to get going. If I tried it and I finished it, is that something?
Absolutely. At this point, we just want to. So we wanted to give you an opportunity. It's a little challenging, and I think the Zoom meetings make it easier for people to join, but I also feel like it's a weirder situation. Like if we were really meeting in person, we might take a moment where everyone turns to their Chromebook and actually does something, and then we come back and show it to each other. And that just feels harder to do in a Zoom meeting. So we don't do that very much, but maybe we should. But this is the idea that you take whatever we did and now you go out and play with it and then you report back. So do it, Lauren, put it in the portfolio version. So you can pick whichever lesson you want. And they're really explicit and clear in what the requirements are. So it's make us 5 slides, change the color, change the font. They're not hard if you have some familiarity. And all of these sessions are recorded. So what I will do is I'm going to send out an email probably tomorrow or Friday that will have today's link to today's session, but I will also explain the different ways to participate in the portfolio, and there's a link to sign up to, and then if you have any questions you can always reach out, but they're pretty easy. Yes, Lauren, you have another question.
It's about the Google cohort. Can I ask off camera when it's finished?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Any questions? Any thoughts? Any exciting plans? You're all going to go play with Google Arts and Culture. I know. You don't need any other plans now. You can travel the world from your armchair. All right. Well, thanks for being here. Hope to see you at our last one on the 26th. I know some people can't make it, but I hope to see you. And then we'll start seeing each other later in the year. Take care. Bye, Margaret.
Excuse me, Ms.
Yes.
Snell,
Yes.
is there any kind of receipt or
So email me. So you need a certificate of attendance?
just for this? Yeah, for the attendance.
So email me and then I will send you one.
Okay, awesome.
And you should have my email, I think, because you probably, if you don't.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I have it. On my
Okay.
I was in your scavenger hunt training on Saturday.
Ah,
ABB.
fantastic. Yes,
We tried it the next weekend.
I remember. Yes.
Yeah.
Did it work out?
Yeah, they liked it, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you
Take
all.
care. Take care. Thanks
Take
again now.
care. Take care. And Lauren, yeah, if you just stay on, we can chat about whatever.
Okay.
It's all good. I'll stop.
No,
There we go.
no,
Yes.
60 seconds.